Hi everyone, welcome to your November 2023 reading. It's my pleasure to read for you, as you know. And also, as you know, these readings are ultimately timeless and signless, so you don't have to be watching this video at the time that it's published, and you don't have to be of any specific or particular natal placements, astrological signs or anything in order for these messages to be for you. You don't even have to believe in any of those things for the messages to be for you. If it resonates, then I would invite you to use your discernment in how that applies to you and also what to do with that information. If it doesn't resonate with you, I would invite you to take a step back and come back in a little bit of time to see whether the messages are now made more, recognizable within your life, okay? Now, that being said, if you'd like to work more personally with me, we do everything here on my channel. Yay! Literally. And if there's something we can't do for you, I would be very much happy to let you know that and to point you in the right direction, okay? But either way, you can find me and my cohort of angels and guides and the rest of my lovely spiritual team at the Etsy link on my business card, which you probably can't see because of the lighting in here, or by clicking the link boink, to my Etsy page wherever you're accessing this video. All right. Let's lock and load. All right, let's jump right in. So it's interesting, as I move into the month of November, anytime I think about the month of November for some reason, it always gives me Matrix vibes, the Matrix Part 1 vibes, particularly like that whole like black leather, maybe because there's a lot of scorpionic energy going on in the month, but for whatever reason, that's being shown here today. There are also and even as I'm floating in the energy of quote unquote the Matrix, as it may hit your mind, you may consider it to be a nod to the movie. Some of you, depending on your mental persuasion at the time that you're watching this video, you'll think that it relates to escaping, the powers that be and the simulation you're in. And, it just goes to show you the subjectivity of the world that we live in. As you know, if you follow my channel, I am very big on reminding you that everything in your life is subjective. Wow, everything in your life is subjective. And so really what you are hearing me say may not even be close to what it is that I'm actually intending to say when I speak to you. And don't forget that I am also an interpreter of energies, that I'm interpreting the energy, the frequencies that are around me and around you in the collective, and I'm translating it literally into English at this moment. And so that's why some words will be more appropriate than others, right? But how you choose, there's the C word, how you choose to receive that information is really up to you. And then how you choose to internalize it and what you choose to even do with that, whether you want to look deeper into it, whether you want to understand who you are and why you chose to hear it that way, and also what you choose to do, like in terms of your actions, the actions that you take out in the world. All of that, boo, is all you, right? And I will always say it, you are the maker, the interpreter, and the experiencer of the world that you see around you. That may be very difficult for a lot of people to understand because they look around and they see all sorts of things going on in the world today. I'm not going to name quite a few things just so that I don't alert any censors, is how this goes. But you can easily turn on your news and look at it. You can walk into your neighborhood and see these things. But I promise you, as someone who literally does this work in the energy field and works with client after client after client after client after client, God bless, thank you God, and thank you to my clients, I will just always tell you that whatever you can point to, it can be traced back to your energy field. And the reason why people struggle to believe that they have any relation to the things that they hate, or things that they may feel no charge for or charge around, they may feel a little bit neutral about, is because they can't even see into their current energetic space, energy field, and see what's actually there, let alone to go back into the deeply embedded spaces that we can then start to look at as past lives or in between lives or parallel lives or whatever you want to say, because time is not even a thing, 4 minutes, 44 seconds, right? time is only a thing from the perspective here on earth from which you're looking at it. But the minute you start working in the field and you go into other levels of the field, you're already outside of time and you start to understand things a little bit differently. So that's what I'm trying to say. People do not understand the world that they live in, let alone have the capacity at where they are to really see how they literally direct the world that they are in. Now, some of you may then start to feel a little bit more of this paradox being mitigated when you start to think of time as not a linear thing, as space as not so relational as you think. And then you start to think of yourself as, well, what if I change my internal state? What if I change my relationship to myself and who I think my identity is? I will tell you that is going to literally morph you into a different timeline, as we'd say. You're just a cute little dot, boop, 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 boop. And based on whether you choose to resonate with frequencies of love or high frequency vibrations, or low frequencies of fear, which is not real, but you're believing it and you're a sovereign being, so you make it so. Make it so, number one, right? It's dependent upon which of those two you plug into with every thought and every, feeling and action and all of this, core beliefs. That is how you navigate as a cute little dot, boop, 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 as a cute little point along the different timelines. It's not linear, right? So if you don't like, for example, the relationship that you're in, really, all you have to do is look around you and be like, oh, I don't like this. This doesn't make me feel good. This doesn't resonate with parts of me that I enjoy. This is actually bringing out, quote unquote, the worst of me. Really, once you start to do your shadow work, you start to understand it's not about condemning parts of you. It's the condemnation of parts of you across lifetimes that has brought you to this point of super compartmentalization and fragmentation, to the point that you are seeing other people as embodying the very same qualities that you possess but have suppressed awareness of. And I would invite you to come gently into our doors, and we always make those connections very clear, and to the point where it's like, oh, okay, the problem is that you have so much fear around being identified or associated with whatever this thing is, that this fear is, that you suppress it so much. But if you start to learn to love yourself and accept yourself and really get into a place, not from this cliche, well, I accept myself no matter what. If someone doesn't like me, then F them and F their mama too, and all of this, that is just pure, fodder, and any loving healer will see right through that right away, because it's like the resistance is so strong within you that you're in FU mode. If you're in FU mode or F me mode, you're already not in that space of love. You're in delusion, right? This is a place of delusion where we're in reaction to something. Because if you're really in a space of balance and love, and I'm talking about frequency. I'm not talking about I love everyone and I love you and I love me and I love God. I'm not talking about that, okay? I'm talking about the frequency where you're in a space where your energy field is clear enough to be bringing in high frequencies consistently and in large amounts. You're not up in arms about somebody saying something on this Twitter account or this group of people upset because you're not in that space. In fact, your attention may be taken by other things altogether. You're like, oh, well, wow, I would love to do, learn runes, or wow, I would love to try pickleball. You're not in that space. And some of your friends will be like, how could you close your eyes to what's going on in the world? How could you this and that? But I want to remind you that there are so many people who are assisting in the world to liberate people from whatever you want to put in there, that are not in those low frequencies of tit for tat and this and that, and I'm mad and I'm this and right? It's two different frequencies altogether. And the problem that a lot of people don't realize is that they keep looking outside of themselves and they're running on the gas of their own unprocessed stuff, and it's just having them point there and point there and point there. And all you need to do is walk into your friendly local therapist, your friendly local licensed therapist, and they will point out all the holes in your story immediately. And then the righteous or the self-righteous or those who feel they're inferior and everywhere in between will be like, oh, okay. So you have to understand that there's so many blind spots, and that's why I always maintain that if each person on this planet were to just do their shadow work and really just get in there, which is basically just sitting with yourself, looking at who you're being, tell your story about who you think you are and what you think you've been doing and how much of a failure, how much of a superior being, or just whatever it is, tell it. Tell the story. Tell the story of what other people think about you, how it makes you feel, what your reactions are. Tell it and observe that. And you have to understand, where is that coming from, right? Why am I so up in arms? And we understand this healing of perception as being able to occur once you start to see that you are not your body. You're not who you think you are. You're not even thinking the thoughts that you're thinking. You're not thinking the thoughts that you think you're thinking. You're not seeing the world that's actually there. You're only running on fumes, and those fumes are your sentiments, your conditioning, your programming, all of that stuff. And I'll tell you, you'll understand that when you easily just look in hindsight in your life. There are many times in your life, if you're capable of even noticing it in hindsight, where some new piece of information came to you, or out of the blue, or someone told you, or maybe you had an experience in your life that was impacting, and what changed? You may say, I changed. No, you didn't change. Your perception changed. Your perception changed. So people keep thinking that they're changing. It's not, all you're doing is you're healing your perceptions. You're moving from these limited, fear-based mentalities, and you're having experiences that open you up, that show you something different, and you're allowing. Never take yourself out of the driver's seat. You are the agent. So anything that you're doing, you're allowing yourself to do it, right? And so that's why we tend to equate maturation with deeper thoughts, with insight, with wisdom, with age, with experience, because these are things that help you to unlock things that are going on inside of you. What are those things? Your beliefs. So in the month of November, I feel like, I think I talked to you guys about this was it the Pisces reading or the Aries? Anyway, one of those recent readings, they talked about how as we go into, it was second Pisces, as we go into autumn and then into the winter, there's going to be, it feels like a slow, steady hum. It's like kind of energy. And it's like a mixture of the womb and a warm feeling, but it's stasis, if you'd like to say it. It's hibernation. We know this because we think about winter as a time to hibernate, and we think about autumn as getting all your nuts in a row and and whatever it is that you want to stockpile. But in this winter, there will be plenty of time to really, they're saying, mature. Now, the maturation that we'll be experiencing in these winter months is not necessarily, especially towards the end of this year, is not necessarily going to be the kind of maturation that comes from being out there, having harsh experiences or having eye-opening experience. No, they're going to be the kinds of insight and revelation and aha moments and epiphanies and understandings, gleanings, so to speak, glimmerings, so to speak. They're going to be those kinds of moments that come from stillness. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are going through something similar to me right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if you are, because we do share the same collective. I'm being asked to be a lot more still. And, that's a little bit hard for me because I'm always in do mode. Literally, I am my own, slave driver. It's to the point where if I want to watch something on TV, I'm giving myself a hard time. You should be doing this, you should be doing that, and you don't forget that, and don't forget. There's always something to do. Even in the mornings when I get up and I work out in the mornings, I'm up, I love to start working out before the day breaks, because I can see that transition. Anyway, and I'm there trying to get my cardio in and everything. And this morning, for example, I got up and it was just like, nope, go lie on your mat, which I did under a blanket, of course, because you know me, Taurus moon. And I never like got up to do any of my morning exercises, but I was moving so much energy through my body, through my limbs, through my natal structures, through my meridians. It was all movement. So I was in what we would call flow. So we often think about flow as being that thing that is dynamic, that we're doing something to make this flow happen. But this is a time of yin time. This is a time of feminine. It's time to be at rest. It's time to take time out. And as I said, take time out, I heard some of you like, but my projects and I also heard myself in there because you know me. But at the same time, it looks like this blanket of security coming over you, like literally a heavy blanket. And then underneath the blanket, you can see your little fist, like, but I have to do this, and and it's like, you'll be able to do it. But listen, and this is the fun part. My whole like body just leapt when I felt what I'm about to say now. This is the fun part. You can do those things, but look, get still first, okay? Get still first, like, burrow in, and then you can start working, whittling away, working at whatever it is that you're working, right? This is not a time for dynamic movements. This is a time for boop, settling in and then working, right? So some of you I'm getting some creative people watching this. Some of you, maybe for lack of a better word, I want to say stonemasons. I see you doing things with chiseling. There's some type of chiseling, whether you make jewelry or you do stones or you work with gems or you work with something. I'm also getting somebody thinking about whittling, it's not like the Easter Island heads, but that's the image they're giving. Maybe it is the Easter Island heads, but something like that, like these little like into small, like into little rock, like making these like little figurines and stuff like of those or other things. You're being encouraged to do it. This is whittling season. They're saying this is the time to etch things in. It's a creative time, but not like a creative time like, let me explain that because that made no sense to my ears. But it's like we think of a creative time like, wow, egads, I got it. I will start this whole blah, 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 blah. And here are my blueprints. And here, it's not that. That's a dynamic creation. It's creativity that comes from stillness. Imagine water flowing and then out from the water comes something. Actually, they're showing me a card. Hold on, let me go get it. God bless. 1 second. Course, you know who wants to come, the merms, and there it is at the top. Ding! It's like a conjuring, right up from the water, right? What you contemplate, you can actualize. Yeah, so this is a time to meet the self. Well, you'll meet yourself in everything. The thing is, people don't realize that they're in everything, outside and inside, okay? So this is what we're coming into. And it's interesting because I'm not even getting like a rainy, wet season for the winter. I'm not saying that it won't rain and snow or just be that dampy kind of feeling. It may well be, but I'm feeling that the constitution of the water, quote unquote, that I'm feeling from this winter is more like an underlaying of water. Look at this. My hands are like, and if you're on top, like this. Like a water on top. This isn't water coming down at you or coming down on you, okay? So one of the things about being humans or being embodied here is to mature, I think. To mature spiritually, because, I'm all about that. This is the channel you're on, okay? Right? And so when you spiritually mature, it's about understanding how to move 1, 2, 3, 19 minutes, 19 seconds. I don't know why it had to come out that way. But to move in alignment with the cycles. Move in alignment with the cycles. I remember I was taking this art history class many years ago. Too long ago. Over a decade ago for sure. And I remember it was a Western art, Western civilization art, so Western Civ art history. And so one of the points I remember to this day is they were contrasting art at the time between what they would call Western art, right? Basically, Europeans. You know how it goes. So Western art, a Western civilization versus the indigenous art, right? And the indigenous art that was being showcased in that lesson was the art of the Americas, Northern America, Southern America, right? We're talking about the indigenous peoples, the natives in those areas. And they were showing how the art that was produced 20 minutes, 20 seconds, look at that, 2020. The art that was produced, we're literally talking about perception, 2020 vision, right? Was representative of how these civilizations, the two of them, these cultures, very collective cultures, by the way, viewed their relation to the earth. So in the indigenous art, the viewer was part. They probably weren't even in the image, and if they were in the image, it was within alignment of the earth. The earth was given, and the animals were given equality, if not even more of a stature there. Whereas when we looked in the Western civilization art or whatever, European art at the time, everything was smaller than the object, which was always the person, the male, right? And it was always that they were conquering the area, they were in charge of the area, they were exploring, they were discovering, they were, right? So we see here two different ways of relation. So understanding when we get into spiritual maturity and we start to expand our consciousness, we start to understand we are a collective. Nobody is better or worse than us. And this idea of wanting to conquer and to this, right? We have to watch those energies. Because when we are getting this, right? What's motivating that thought? Is it the idea of dispossessing or having an enemy to conquer or to best or to be over, right? We have to watch those because the implications of those things can really create issues in the collective, and it's reflective of the self, right? As opposed to, and why I'm also pointing this out is because right now, as we move into this winter season, we're being asked to acknowledge our place in nature by, number one, acknowledging cycles. We move in alignment with the cycles, right? We also move in alignment with the earth. It's not that we're doing something different from, we have to start looking at how we actually are reflective of the energetic frequencies that are coming from the earth. And so we have to move in alignment with that. And if we're paying attention, we'll notice that we are doing that when we are at our happiest and when we are in alignment with our nature and our well-being, we're doing as the flow does on the earth. But also the reason why I brought that up is to understand our relation to each other, our relation to just the environment. And the reason why so many people see war outside of them, they see theft, they see murder, they see pillaging, they see all these things, and they have these strong engagements with these energies, right? On a daily. Some people are just daily living with these, and then when you point it out to them, it's actually not happening in their immediate life. It's somewhere else in the world. It's someone's friends, cousins, whatever, and they're warped in it, right? So sometimes we have to, cut some cords. We have to go inside, and I guarantee you that same person who's uber engaged in all of these things, whether or not they even have anything to do with any of those things, it's very visible in their energy field. And a lot of the people who are very condemning of others, all we have to do is look into their energetic field, and we see right away how it's playing out in their physical life, their body, how it's playing out in the relationships they share with other people, how it expresses itself in their actual life across their lifetime, and most certainly how they have done the same thing and been carrying the same energies that they accuse other people of in these other lifetimes, right? A lot of people don't realize that the wars that they're fighting in this lifetime, in other lifetimes, boop, they were on the other side of it. So what they're doing is they're in here still choosing to engage with these energies. So that's why we have to do inner work so that we can understand where this stuff is coming from. Where is it coming from? It's not coming from outside of you. It's coming from inside of you. The conflict is inside. And because you're a sovereign being, you will project and make in your world, you literally, through your observation and your thoughts and your beliefs, these are unconscious things, call into solidification and form, right? What was just light. It's just light, waves of light. But your energy, your beliefs as a conscious being, a sovereign conscious being, your deeply embedded beliefs, this is why you have to do your core belief work, your inner work, your shadow work, because those beliefs are like around you. And so what they do is they project onto the light, which is just, light frequencies, in a way where the particles, the matter, all of that solidify and take shape. When you start to change that inner dialogue, that inner belief, that inner relationship to yourself, because there's nothing outside of you. When you're reacting outside, you're wasting time, right? Well, time, there's all eternity, but I'm just saying you're not actually doing anything. You have to do the inside and change that. When you do that, you start to change the frequency. It changes. And guess what? It has to change. The form or the solidification of the particles around you, the molecules, the matter around you has to change shape. And so you see, it's you that must change. And it's such an internal change that you will read the same book for your entire life. No names about what the books are. There could be many books, right? But every time you close those books and you open that book again, you're going to see something different. Same page, but you're reading something different. The book didn't change, you changed. What about you changed? Your perception. And because you're a conscious being and you're a sovereign being and you understand that your beliefs order the physical, then if your beliefs change, then the physical will change around you. All right? So we're not going to get too much more into that because I feel like the guides kind of talk about that a lot in the posts that we do every now and then. But that's just how it is. So I think the greatest travesty for humanity in general is that they've been conditioned out of understanding their power. And a huge part of that is because they would rather be in a place of victimhood. If you're in a place of victimhood, it precludes any discussion about where your power is. And that's why when you work with those who have really been victimized by the things in the world, it's always about empowering them, showing them blind spots, showing them new ways of looking at things. And it's the same with those of us on earth that are higher selves, our friendly celestials, our guides, all of that. That's all they're trying to do. They don't believe that what we think we're seeing out in the world from the higher perspectives, it's not real. It hasn't happened. It's like sleepers. We're sleeping, right? Remember like Inception? Let's say we all have to go watch Inception quite a few times right? Let's keep it 100, right? But when you look at Inception, you notice that a lot of the movie takes place at different levels, right? And they have that music that I can't remember what song it was, but that song, and whenever that song is heard ringing through their environment, it's the kick. It's what, boom, wakes them up and brings them up out of that reality that they were in, that subconscious reality where they were in, where they're having a whole for real situation going down, right? A whole different world. It wakes them up. And now they're at a higher level, and now they're a different, they look differently, they're in different places, right? Because it's one reality and top and top and top. You keep falling into deeper sleep when you keep beating the drum of all of these false beliefs, right? Number one false belief, I'm not good enough. We think we understand the depth of that falsity because while there's so many things that we can go on YouTube and Instagram and learn about, we can check out the DSM, we can learn about that. It's normalized not in all societies, but in our society for sure. Chances are if you're watching this, it's normalized in your society to have resources around for understanding how your inadequate, your fear of inadequacy and all of these low self-worth and low self-esteem affect your entire lifetime. But if you really understood the implication and the significance of what that actually is, you would understand, holy moly, my last multiple lifetimes have been eclipsed by this one thought. And that's why when things like A Course in Miracles, you got to get that book. When A Course in Miracles teaches us that only love is real, we literally cannot conceptualize that. That's why you have to have these experiences called lifetimes in order to kind of like arrive at. And when you finally arrive at different realities and epiphanies and you have breakthroughs, that's why we call them aha moments. But if you understood the process that you took across lifetimes to get to this one moment where it's just like, I get it. Yeah, dude, you've been working on that for the past three goes, right? The last 8 lifetimes you've been working on that. And now you're right. And so that's why sometimes the guides say you have to really give yourself a round of applause. Because I've had clients before, God bless, right? Super hugs, ding, where, you know, somebody, let's say it's always I'm just gonna make an example of a person because it's easy, right? Somebody comes into their life and you know, they date for a second, but the client's like, I'm not really attracted to this person, but they really want to, you know, be with me and I feel like I know them, but I'm just not interested. Yeah. But I say you have to give yourself a round of applause because sometimes, like I remember this one client, the guides were like, yeah, this moment where you said, I'm not attracted to this person, this appeal isn't there, you don't have the taste for it, you don't have the desire, you don't have the dispensation for it, you're not interested in it or in this person, that comes at the tail end of, I think it was like 11 lifetimes of trying to work on whatever core belief that client was working on that was allowing in people, places, things, situations, ideas like this person. So in this lifetime, they're like, shrug, whatever, I'm dating this guy instead. But they don't know how much work went into that moment. And that's when you know that you're really healing something, because what used to be appealing for you is no longer doing it, right? And so, as they always say, when you feel insanely compelled towards something or insanely repelled from it, if you're having those energetic charges in either direction, that is a sheer sign that something's going on in your field. Because I guarantee you, let's all take a moment and take a step back. Remember, you remember way back in first grade, remember art class? Who was the kid who sat next to you on your left all the time? What's that person's name? I guarantee you, most of you don't remember. Okay, well, you were kids. Okay, I get it. Let's go back to college in that one econ class that you either liked or hated or were indifferent towards. Who was the person who was always coming in early? What about the person who never knew the answer? What about the person who you borrowed a pencil from? You don't remember these guys. You don't remember them because guess what? They don't have as strong an energetic charge in your life to manifest any type of, let's say, conflict or arousal within you. There's nothing. How many doorknobs did you turn yesterday in actuality? You probably don't remember because they don't have an energetic charge to pull you. So always remember, if you could be anywhere, 33 minutes, 33 seconds, you are such a sovereign being. You could be anywhere in all of time, in all of space, in all of existence, but you're here right now, in this moment, listening to this video. If you had one change differently this morning, or took a different thought, or had anything, if the wind blew and it blew a window open or a curtain open, you went to close it, and then you came and you missed this broadcast, or anything could be different. Why did you turn this on and not that? When you turned on the news, or not the news, and you turned on your TV to like just veg out, you could have turned on the TV and you could have been looking up to the right as you did it. You could have been stumbling and stumping your toe as you did it. You could have been settling into your bed as you did it. You could have been looking straight at the TV as you did it, right? What show came up? What that could be any show. So you have to understand if you're attracting, whether it's the mailman that you don't know, whether it's that billboard that just stood out to you, or the billboard that's on your daily route that you never even looked at and you didn't even know there was a billboard, these things are attracted to you because of the energy field that you have going on, your frequency, or you're just, that's who you are, and you're magnetizing things to you, right? There are people on this earth who are not plugged in to the same things you are at all. They are so not plugged into the same things that you would watch, that you would entertain, the thoughts that would go through your mind, the things that would turn you on, the things that would turn you off. They're so not entertained by those that your paths would never cross. You're just so not an energetic vibrational match. So I just want you to understand what I'm trying to say is that people really need to know who they are, and the step towards doing that is understanding, of course, that you're a sovereign creator being, and bridging the gap. The gap that exists is the gap between, it's the gap in consciousness, because you've been conditioned out of understanding your power. And you've been conditioned to believe that what you see and think and feel and have gut reactions to are reality, and that they actually are products of who you are. They're not. It is your core belief that will order all of those things, okay? And so that's why when we have this idea of not throwing stones and, not judging others, if you understood how the energy field works, everyone would be like, zip, I'm gonna shut my mouth, because I'm not even, because I know that if I'm saying this about that person, I'm really talking about myself. And if you are open to being equated with the energy frequencies of people, places, things, situations, and ideas that you detest, that you would spit on, chewy, that's what it sounds like, right? Then you are one step closer to accepting who you are, that you're hiding from yourself. This is called shadow work, okay? So shadow work is basically the healing work that one does in order to accept, to first of all acknowledge and then accept parts of themselves that are way too painful to believe that they are, right? I don't want to believe that I'm a masochist. I don't want to believe that I have sadistic tendencies. I don't want to believe that I'm a thief. I don't want to believe that I would just give my body to anybody. I don't want to believe, right, that I would be an addict. I don't want to believe. Of course you don't want to believe it, but your lifetimes are stringing along behind you. That's why you're so up in arms about it, because it's stringing along right behind you and you just won't look at it. The biggest con here, though, is that you're hiding from something that you believe on some level, your core belief, you actually believe that you are those things. But as A Course in Miracles teaches us, you are not the things that you fear. Because the Creator, who don't even try to conceptualize, I'm not even going to give you qualities of it, because who the hell am I? Who the hell are you, right? We're just going to sit here from our state of delusion and try to attribute qualities to something that is beyond our comprehension from where we're sitting. We can't even see ourselves, let alone other people, let alone around the corner. How can we see something that includes a category called things you don't know that you don't know? It's impossible. So when you start to contextualize and you conceptualize that very idea that I cannot know something enough in all the time I've been here, I cannot know something enough that is so huge when I can't even be aware of things that I don't know that I don't know. There are literally things and concepts and things just out there that you have no idea that you have no idea about. You can't even conceive of it. So why would you try to make an idea of whatever that is? And when you start to think of in that way, that is more of a clear perception than the idea that you can find any information about those things in anything that you see in this world, whether it's created in a book, whether it's passed down through times, and then to have wars, and then to ostracize people, and then to murder, and then to negate, and then to criticize, and then to, you see, all based on a false idea that you understand something you are incapable of understanding. And so when you get into that level of awareness, you start to understand, holy moles, I actually cannot understand anything because I don't even know who I am. I'm just a conditioned being right now. I don't know what my purpose is. If I can't understand something, how can I think I know what my purpose is? And even if the most credible person that I've attributed credibility to on this planet, whoever that is, whether it's my mom or myself or my guide or my religious cleric or whatever, even if they tell me who I am, they don't even know who they are. And as an energy healer, I promise you, do not look to people in the media, in the institutions, in the corporations, even in the head of your favorite charity, even sometimes and most times in the head of your household. Do not look to them for examples. You can hear them out, but do not look for them. If you cannot see what's going on in the energy field, don't waste your time, okay? Because you have to go inward to understand what's happening here. The delusion on earth is so great that we're so embedded that everything outside of us is the authority. And inside of us, we just give no credence to, we're running from it, or we deride it altogether. This is all conditioning. Check this out. What about you is so bad? Because you were created by God knows what, who knows what, right? You were created. So, look, listen, all we can say is, here I am. That's it. Even your girl Jay, ding, that's me, is out here telling me this and that. Yeah, everyone's going to be telling you this and that about something. But you have to stop and ask yourself, the this and that's that you're hearing from others and the this and that's that you're hearing from yourself, I would say a lot of times, if not all the time, are equally, meaningless. Because at the end of the day, no one knows. But if you've got to cling to something because you are here in the physical, you've got an ego that serves a function of individuation, if you've got to incorporate things into your belief system, I would invite you to incorporate those things that place you in a position of agency, of volition, of sovereignty, where you can have ideas and you can change those ideas at the next second. There's no shame, there's no guilt. You can make mistakes and you can learn from them and you can talk about it. And if you lie about it, you can be honest to yourself about it, and then you can feel free enough to go to the person that you lied to and talk about it. If you see something that doesn't feel right, you can know why it doesn't feel right to you. It just doesn't feel right, and you can do something about it. But you can try and do something that doesn't mean that now you're crapping on someone else and that you are condemning and that you're this and that. You have to be mindful about your energetic flow. What are you doing with it, right? The wake up is to wake up to your sovereignty. And as long as you're in this place where you are seeing yourself as a victim, as the little guy, right? I struggle with this all the time, but God is good and I'm working on it. And you see yourself as the little guy down here on earth and subject to A, B, C, D, E, and F, and G. What you're actually running on is a core belief that something outside of you, who cares what that is stronger than you. That is absolute falsity. That is not respectful. Not respectful. That is not, because that's carrying a quality. That is not, reflective of your sovereignty. You're a sovereign being. You're in charge. You're a creator being. You are in charge. Some of you may have gotten just triggered for a second there. Well, I can't be the creator, and the creator is God. And I would invite you to stop. Because look, if you come into our place, we will show you the stuff that you're making left and right in your life. So please don't say those things that I'm not doing this, I'm not. That's all you playing small. You are so much in control. You have no concept of how in control you are. And when you start to really look at that, you start to understand what Peter Parker's uncle said: absolute power, right, requires absolute, I know I'm butchering it already. What is it? Absolute power. What requires, calls for absolute responsibility. Because now you realize, oh shoot, that's right. I'm the head of this newspaper. I'm the editor of this newspaper. So all these people, all these institutions, all my family members, all my friends, all those movies I saw, all of those books I read, all of this, and they're just putting stuff on my desk. I'm the one deciding to run that newspaper. Yeah, this is what it means to be discerning. All people are doing, whether they're whispering in your left ear or whispering in your right ear, all they're doing is presenting you with things. What are these things? They're all ideas. You don't have to take any of them. You don't have to believe any of them. You don't. And if you start to see yourself, boink, as equal with others, you start to realize, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for coming out today, for, trying to offer whatever. I'm listening, and thank you. It's inspiring to know that your heart is hopefully in the right place. But I'm going to go ahead and give that back to you, because this time I just want to see for myself. What does seeing for yourself mean? It means you don't have to have an opinion. And again, I know especially a lot of us in the West, some of these, I went to say in America, and some of these other countries, you guys are feeling very opinionated about stuff. It's good to have opinions. But remember, opinions are not meant to just flow out from you and bleh onto other people. And you're not meant to bleh take other people's opinions. Opinions are opinions. They will never be facts. They will never be facts at all. And in fact, the facts that we think we are even reading in our textbooks are, in our school, secondary schooling and all of that. The minute you go up into grad schools and you're working at the MA and PhD levels, you're getting sources from all sorts of stuff. You're rewriting history. You're not even looking at those textbooks that the masses are being taught from, which we already understand the issue with textbooks throughout the world. Anytime you're working with learning, you have to be mindful about what you're consuming, okay? And even at the graduate levels and people who make their way in these professional circles, they only have access to what they're allowed to have access to. They're only allowed to experiment and investigate upon what they're allowed to experiment and investigate upon. They're only allowed to explore a topic or something insofar as they're allowed to explore it. Who takes over then? Institutions, military, right? Religious, all these things, the government, right? So you have to understand at any given time, you're only working within the access that people are going to give you. But when you start to understand it, you don't need to go outside of yourself to understand anything. And then in fact, when you're going outside of yourself to get direction in life in a significant way about who you are and how you should relate to the world and the people of the world, you're wasting time. And I don't want to say wasting time like, excuse me, but I mean like you're doing nothing. You're learning, you're creating more, you're making more and more beliefs built upon false beliefs. So when you're making false beliefs that seem real, but they're all on false beliefs that came before, and that, what are you doing? You're not making anything real. You can continue to multiply falsity over generations, over lifetimes, but it doesn't make it real. It may seem real to you. And the last thing I want to talk about before we go is that it's a reminder of how powerful you are. So let's use this guy, ding, because he's super cute, ding, ding, ding. This is you. And you don't realize it, but you are so powerful. You literally, let's just call you a nice little world creator. You're a world creator. You create worlds. You create constructs. That's why we are co-creating a collective consciousness. And the collective consciousness is manifesting physically around us. So when you hear these talks about needing to switch to the new earth and the old earth and this and that, those are fancy ways of saying, hey man, what's your vibe like? Are you planning to like be vibing at that low? Because if you are, you're going to kind of keep experiencing physical effects. You're going to move amidst people and places, things, situations, ideas that are kind of like just feeding you that back again, right? Or if you're looking for something a little bit more different, you can kind of shift your timelines. You can move in different circles. And I will say, some of you are like, oh, how could you move in different circles when things are going on in this world? Well, I'll tell you one thing. As a Black person, represent, right? Just repping hard for a second. There are so many people out there who are involved in furthering causes for Black people and who have things to say, and they're progressive or they're conservative. How many of those people legit have Black friends? Okay, how many of the policymakers legit have Black friends? And I'm not saying, oh, to be invited to the cookout, because wow, not every Black person is at a cookout somewhere, okay? But what I'm trying to say is we run in circles with these ideas in our head. Oh, this is right and that's wrong, and this is how we not. How can you know what is for anyone, let alone a group of people, if you don't even vibe with those people? Many people who consume culture that we would say is Black culture. I have other thoughts on that because, you know, I come from more of an energetic standpoint, but that has manifested through what we would say as Black culture, right? A lot of those people wouldn't even know what to do with a Black person if they came up to them. They would turn to somebody else who's not Black to ask for directions or the time rather than ask that person. Don't believe me? It's happened. It happens all the time. So if you consume regularly and live regularly in a world with these cultures, you can fall in love with these cultures. You can see yourself as living in a world of diversity, but yet when you look at your life with no cognitive dissonance, you see, holy moles, what am I talking about? There are people who live their entire day after day after day, without seeing any person from another race. They literally see their own race. They literally see their own culture. They literally see their own perceived identity. So I want you to understand, when we talk about people shifting and moving in a way that is different and makes you diverge and possibly never cross paths with certain other people based on these energetic frequencies, you're already seeing that happen here on Earth, but those are based on these false beliefs of division. Now imagine if you started to go inward, work on yourself, and understand yourself as a spark of the divine. What divine? Who cares? No need to label, no need to try to use the mind to find out, no need to research, no need to do anything. You don't need to do all of that, because it's just going to use the corrupted mind to then go in and create more corruption discourse, let's call it that. Instead, just get quiet, take your time, go outside or stay in your room and just lie down and just say flow, and make that your go-to. Not the distractions you keep doing, not the friend you just called up because this just happened to me and I want to talk about it, not the person you want to show your new nails off to, not the person in your family you need to argue with, not the husband or wife that you feel lonely from. This is you calling these people, by the way. You feel lonely from because they're working late, not the codependent dog who you're like, oh my God, where's Sparky? Because I got to, like, what are all these things? These are distractions. It's not saying there's no time and place for others, but others are called into your life because of you. And that's why I want to pull this guy out, because he's cute. He's projecting out of his chakras energetically his beliefs. He carries beliefs right inside. He's believing it. Believe, doing, project, ding, create, not create, because creators create, the creator creates, make. And then guess what? Experience. It's like, let's just make it even easier to talk about. you are, pink, wah, right? Then you start to get conditioned. And then I would argue you also come in with conditioning because of your past lifetime. So you're already in that. You're already, and you also have your soul's curriculum going on as well to assist you. But remember, not everything in your soul chart needs to be experienced. If you learned a lesson, you're bypassing all sorts of learning that you didn't have to have, all sorts of experiences. If you're experiencing something, it's because, well, it's one of the ways that we get to help you do what? Heal your perceptions, because that's all this is. Oh, sorry. All my alarms. You gotta go do other stuff, right? Healing your perceptions. So let's say you're here and you carry certain beliefs about yourself. Oh, I'm not good enough. The universe is like, all right, bet. Now you've got ding, 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 energetic frequencies of not being good enough. Guess what? You've made those. You've literally placed those into your timelines. A more accurate statement is this. You went from nothing to whoop. You projected yourself onto a timeline, another frequency altogether, where these things that you believe about yourself are true. But God or whoever source, we know this is not true. It's not who you are. You are not these low life things or you're thinking yourself to be, right? It's not. But you're the creator right now. You're the one who's being asked to make, then interpret, and then experience this blank canvas that we call light waves. And when you start populating it with those beliefs, whether you came in with them or whether somebody whispered it in your right ear or whispered it in your left ear, or you read it in a textbook, or you saw it on TV, or you saw those cool kids doing it, or you had an idea and wow, I want to be cool just like everybody else. It doesn't matter. All of those things are just laid at your feet and bloop, ding, you put it in, you allowed it. And when we're young, we understand, we just allow, we acquire knowledge. And that's why we have this idea of this spectrum of naivete, overly naive actually, to overly skeptical. Neither is good. Neither is good, right? And you can be an adult and still be overly naive. Trust me, I know. Or you can be a kid and be overly skeptical. There are some kids who you can't even say, got your nose. They're like, Santa who? You're like, you're two. Where'd you get this, right? So you have to understand this is in the field. So once you start to have these beliefs, and then guess what? You had an experience. Boom, you got your heart broken with this person. She's literally wearing a wedding dress. With this person. Now they're doing what? Delivering to you what you put in anyway. You wanted to feel. Because you said, I'm nothing. You populated these things on your timeline, or you morphed into a timeline with that. You, boom, have an experience with these people. Now you're interpreting more about yourself, just reinforcing a false idea, getting even more down about yourself. And now as you're walking, you're populating more, because every time you move with those false beliefs, you're having that. And guess what? Then you go to school, and school is reinforcing those beliefs, because guess what? You're not part of the culture that everybody wants to be a part of, except the people who are actually part of it. Sometimes they don't want to be part of it, and all sorts of stuff. And before you know it, you're stuck in a loveless marriage, and you've got a job that you hate. And before you know it, people are out here saying you can change your life, this is all not real, right? You're like, shut up, don't you see all the stuff going on in the world and in the other countries and the wars and the poverty and the everything. There's so many things, right? And this is all the stuff you have made for yourself. Because I promise you, there are people out there, you may not have brushed shoulders with these people, they're not living that life. If you want to see something remarkable, go and find yourself a securely attached person. Look at that, I just flipped this over. Look at the child, no face, yeah? Go and find yourself a securely attached person. I promise you, if you are insecurely attached, which most of the world is, because we live in a traumatized world, because people are running on false beliefs, if you go and you find a securely attached person, they do not walk the earth in the same way that you do. And there are securely attached people in all different shades, all different economic circles, all different, they're all over. I would argue they are the minority. Maybe there are other statistics about it, but go and see how they react to the world. I'm not saying they're perfect, but they are not making the same world that you are. They're definitely not interpreting the world in the same way that you are, and they're not experiencing the world in the same way that you are. So my point is that I'm trying to say, in this month, no, I'm kidding, back to November. It's always November, right? If we're talking, look, scorpionic energies, right? So energy field adjustment, yeah. How do you clean your aura? Change your beliefs. Your consciousness, all of your ailments, anything going on in the world can be traced, boom, back to your energy field. And within your energy field, those things, those obstructions in your energy field are what? Just the solidification at a non-physical level, right? This is solidification or conglomeration of your beliefs. And when you don't, if your beliefs are love-based, there's just flow. Anytime you have a belief that's discordant with who you really are, which is a very, very beloved creator being, anytime you have a discordant belief, now you're you're making something. It's not creation. You're making something, and you know this because it can be dissolved. If something is created, it will never be able to it's just something that is, right? Can never be destroyed. But something that is not real, like your beliefs, your unloving beliefs, are made into non-physical structures. So when you come to someone like me, hi, and you're talking and you're saying things, I'm seeing it sitting right there above your eye, and then we talk about it and we trace it back to 8 years old, and then another time at 26, and then that time with that one person who shared that last lifetime with you, and that's why it was even more solidified here, and it was an opportunity for you to heal it, but it didn't get healed, and so let's talk about it right now. All we're doing is shifting your mentality. We're shaking you. We're waking you up to see, hey, you're believing something that isn't true about yourself. And I guarantee you, when you shift that and you dissolve that non-physical structure, still a structure, when you dissolve it, guess what else falls out of your life and from the news and the this and that? Whatever was in alignment with that, okay? So all of these things are traced back here. Now, if you don't clear these things and you're still walking around with these beliefs, these discordant beliefs that put you boink, at odds with who you really are, that's what we get when we get ailments, whether it's eczema or, chipped nails, or my tooth flew out, or I had an accident and this and that, or accidents, all of this stuff, mental disturbance, everything goes back to core beliefs. And so when on this channel we talk about doing your inner work, your shadow work, we're basically saying, do your core beliefs, look at your core beliefs, and no matter what you find, you have to be willing to accept that is something that is making itself known to you. No judgments. Oh, well, this thievery and prostitution and sadism energy is making itself known to you. Well, it's known to me. Well, okay. Well, here you are. Well, I'm along for the ride. Okay, source, spirit, God, my higher self, whoever. I'm willing to look at this. The willingness is already cracking the code, because it was the lack of willingness that kept the wall up. That's the fragmentation of self. That's the split here. But when you start becoming willing to look at it, now it's an energy that is making itself known to you, and you're like, dude, hello, here it is, right? Hey, what's going on? Oh, that's right. I'm out here having this belief that what's presenting itself to me is who I am. But God said, and yeah, who said that you were this? No one said that. No one said that. Your conditioning said that was you, because you can't conceive of, remember, what you really are. It's impossible. If you're seeing all this, you're not capable of even seeing who you are. I don't care how many lifetimes you've lived. It's not possible. Don't even try. You're in the human body. Okay? And so, long story short, after long story, give up holding yourself wrong for things you cannot even conceive of. Stop denying yourself out of fear, because you're afraid that you are a certain thing. You can't see yourself. Some of you are still looking in the mirror to determine your value. How could you look in the mirror to determine your value? The mirror does not serve that function. The mirror serves the function of letting you know whether you have spinach in your teeth, not letting you know whether you're fit to be in that relationship with that guy, or whether the job you're a shoo-in for this job, or whether you're worth being alive on this planet one day longer. This is a poor use of mirrors. And if you understand that, things like fashion industry and music videos and all this is BS, because it's relying upon you having that false understanding of what a mirror is, and they're just mirroring back to you images. Again, this is all that's happening, but it's your job whether to take it or not. Don't take it. It doesn't make sense. Oh, that's nice, honey, they're making a video, I hope they had fun. Has nothing to do with you. No matter how much you scroll, who's looking this, what couple's that, who's friendship goals, who's got main character energy, who's catching a vibe, all of this, it's fun, but it's meaningless at the end of the day. And so if you're plugged in, and if you're still listening, thank you so much, but if you're plugged into the energetic frequencies that are coming through in this channel, and you are here for the messages, you have to understand that what you're trying to do on a higher level is to cut through the BS. Because the BS is the distraction. There's nothing wrong with doing any of these things, but you better be aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it, instead of just consuming blindly. All right. So in the month of November, please understand that we're making that gentle, nice little transition and, into our chillier seasons for some of us, but we're moving from this harvesting and stockpiling into this settling down. So something that the guides had mentioned in one of the previous videos that we did, that what you choose to bring into your cave during hibernation is what you're going to be cozying up to. So if you're bringing your issues and you're bringing all sorts of stuff, you're getting caught up in distractions and false beliefs on top of false beliefs, and you're and on top of that you're overwatching news. If you could understand how energy works, you would know that there are just certain things you shouldn't be turning your TV to, because they're just portals, and it's literally energy reaching right outside the TV. But if you don't see that, that's understandable. The clairvoyance may not be there, or the clairsentience may not be there, because they're covered over by what's normalized to sit and overconsume fear. So when you're tucked away in your little cute little spaces this winter, energetically I'm talking about, be mindful of what you allow into your energy field. That's what you should be doing on a regular anyway. And please understand, this is not saying this is not saying that you should see yourself as an irresponsible global citizen, or as someone who has no empathy, or all of that. No. Okay? This is understanding that what is inside is reflected outside. And this is the cycle at this time of year to go inside and to understand who you are. And if you don't want to do that, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. I mean, like, that you not doing that doesn't affect anyone else, right? Unless they choose to buy into stuff that you're selling them, and you're buying into stuff that people are selling you. This is not, no one has to buy into anything that anyone else is selling, including this message. You do what comes naturally for you. But just letting you know, energetically speaking, this is the season to cozy up to yourself. And I'm talking the real self, not the BS self, that constructed identity that is not real. Okay? Talking about you. And if you don't know who that is, that's totally fine. It's a work in progress, because it's this is what we call deprogramming, deconstructing. Okay? Anyway, I'm gonna go because I have to get to work and do other stuff. But as always, it is my pleasure to connect with you. And if you'd like to do some personal work together, whatever it is, it could be about really anything. Any topic is fair game. You know where to find me on my Etsy page. And until then, well, Let's welcome to November and happy birthday to all my November peeps. And keep an eye out for the Astro Reels. I'm just going to release videos when it feels natural to do so, because otherwise I would be whipping myself into oblivion when my guidance is saying to flow. Okay, so just keep an eye out for videos when they come out. All right, God bless your buttons. Bye.